So the daughters that left Scotland and Ireland because they was under attack, they came over here, right? And they settled over here, the redhead princess. But they always thought they had found her, but they hadn't found her because she got around them, right? They thought they were smarter than mama, and mama outsmarted them all because she put her baby boy up to go find him, drag him out, and don't miss a beat while you monkey flip and catch every key. So when she was teaching me how to put together the puzzles, I was showing her with the Legos I knew how to build. Once she understood I knew how to build, she sent me to my father to see if I could find my way back home. So when they dropped me off in the park and I got lost, I told them where my daddy worked. That's Fisher Body. That's Body by Fisher. Right? So when they went and got Pops from work, and he was like, boy, how did you know how to tell him? I said, because I pay attention. You just don't think I do. Right? So then my Pops sent him back home and said, this boy know how to find his way out of anything. In other words, he can see through the maze, the LA Barif, the labyrinth, the maze of trickery that leads to the deception that need to be uncovered for us to understand the story that's being told through Hollywood political satire, through the old Delta blues that transformed into every genre of American music. As long as they play in the note, I can read the sign, even if they're not the originator. Because if they play in the style of Jimi Hendrix can talk to me through their music. If they play in the sound of the Purple Madness, the Purple Passion, the Purple Prince can talk to me through their music. Right? If they have exceptional vocal skills and they know how to beatbox, Michael Jackson can talk to me through the music. So the imitator becomes the facilitator to deliver the message from the master to the student. It's all in the public domain. This is the end of the end game. I told everybody, Elder, if you remember, before it's over with, Trump have to call in the National Guard before they get rid of the police.
They calling them in California right now. And look, oh yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, Rod. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, so California is filing charges against Donald Trump to remove. They file a restraining order on them because like some of the states are still they classify. I know Texas and Texas and California is the two states that's still got their own republic or something like that.
Well, border states got different rules than interstates.
Okay.
Because they border states, their use of the National Guard is more easily administered because it makes them vulnerable for invasion.
Right.
How we know that? They telling you where we got invaded at when the Califia Queens got slaughtered because they knew we was leading up to Friday the 13th free day or Freer Day.
Makes sense now.
All this is, I keep telling y'all, is convergence. If you watch the movement of the stars, and then if you watch the events as they unfold, it's a pattern. You watch it long enough, you just see the pattern coming, even when you're not looking for it. The more you use the faculty, the more control you have of it, the more you can fine tune the skill. Right? So, by seeing this stuff and knowing the process of governmental transition, you got to remember they did the same thing in South Africa. Right before they gave up the apartheid government and gave it back to the South Africans, the Queen of England, Elizabeth, issued some kind of decree, right? Then they went down there in South Africa. They listened to what she said, and they got rid of all of the armaments. Remember, right to bear arms is supposed to be a right, not a privilege. You're not supposed to put an abridgment on the privilege.
Right.
You're not supposed to license a right. A license is permission to do something that's otherwise illegal.
Right.
If it's a right, it can't be illegal whether you have a license or not.
Right.
It's only if it's a privilege can you abridge it. You can't put addendums to a right.
Right.
So they've been fighting to disarm us, but we had one problem. We had a group of gung-ho crackers, rednecks, hillbillies that don't want to give up their guns.
Well, they ain't giving them up.
So they the only reason why we got a right to get our guns.
And they said they're gonna you got to pry from their dead cold hands. That's their motto. Pull out the pry from my dead cold hands. That's what they are. Yeah.
Right.
Real
so
deal.
While we would look, the shield worked both ways when you know what nerve to touch.
Right.
They got them convinced that the United States is the actual proper government on the land.
Right.
Right. But the contracts is the constitutional treaties. And in the Constitution, it's a right to bear arms. And because they put everybody under slavery and not just us, you have certain people that they got to maintain the appearance of superiority in order to uphold a white supremacist system. Right? So all of the stuff is they doing, they swearing up and down they not doing it while you watching them steal cookies out your cookie jar, eating them, and they's telling you, I've never seen your cookie jar before.
Yeah.
But they standing there with their hand in it, steady eating the cookies. So, the secondary constitution, Rashad Jamal 3.0, was the one written in the blood of Crispus Attucks, but they don't tell you that. But it's in the George Washington Masonic Memorial. Along with the fezzes of the Moors that came, and they don't have the feathers of the chiefs that went into the conjure against them. But they got all of the fezzes on display. Mm-hmm. The chiefs can be seen on the mural of Carlos V. Carlos V is Charles V. And he had a bet with the Spanish that we would win. He had bet the Spanish king, I think it was one of the Georges, that we would win. He put his money on the tribes over here. And that's why you see he's on the mural with the I think that was Inca chiefs. But we all had to go into the darkness in order for one of us to find their way back to the light.
Man, bro, I was watching this movie, man, about in Africa when the white colonizers was first coming over there. And man, in Africa, like you didn't want to go over there during the 1600s, and before that, you didn't want to go to Africa as a white guy, man. Look, like one tribe, when they got him over there, they said, "Come on in," and then they tried to cook him. You know what I'm saying? They had already had a fire going and everything. They put him up in there with some lettuce and tomatoes and onions, and they were balling him.
You got to remember one thing. You can walk from Africa to Europe. You might have to swim about a quarter mile.
Go ahead.
But across the Pillars of Hercules, as they refer to.
Yeah.
Right? You can look on one side and see the other side. We can go swimming in the ocean over here and don't see the other side. We got some lakes over here that you can't see the other side.
Yep, like Lake Punch.
But you can stand in Africa and look into Europe with the naked eye.
Yeah.
Africans had already encountered Europeans long before they brought them over here. And this is why we had to study African root science, Medu Netter, right? Because it's telling you codes. The light codes is in the literature, right? So when we start studying the rosters, we study in the Holy Pibi, we study the sacred parchment scroll of Black supremacy. Ties back to the Ethiopian emperor, right? Because the Ethiopian emperor at one time was called the emperor of the world, right? But now we in modern times. Imperial days are long gone. Days of kings are long gone, or so we thought. The days of these people being publicly known is what's been long gone. The puppets that represents the will of these people is called the boule. The boule are the ones who learned the language of the French king to be able to talk to him in the king's language. That means code, right? Now remember, they got King's Day rebellions scheduled. It's called King's Day Rebellion. What has the king ever rebelled against if he the king? Think about it, Elder. You king of your castle. In your house, you muted.
They rebel against the people, bro.
No, you in your house. You the king. You can't rebel against the people, but the people can rebel against you.
Yeah.
In your kingdom, you the ultimate power, or are you?
Right.
Who would the king rebel against? There's only one person in this house he'll rebel against.
The queen.
Sit.
Man.
Patriarchy.
Yeah.
The
It makes sense.
extra feminine king. They called him King John for a reason. And Magna Carta is the work that he wrote, the Great Charter. Right? To make the commoner and the king appear on the same level. Now notice the word appear. Right? So King John in the Magna Carta. Now what that got to do with John D?
Go ahead. That tie seems like it tie in.
Who did they say that the queen fired and ran from her royal house? Go pull back up the first John D video.
All right.
Listen close to what she say. This is important. Right? They telling us the story as is unraveling. Because it already happened.
John D. John D. Yeah, man. So I'm starting to put all this together. I'm gonna go look more into the this conjure. We got another tape. We did 2 tapes a long time ago where you broke down more in detail on the conjure. I'm gonna put that in the links too. It's called Conjure Part 1 and Part 2. Those classes right there. That was lit. But we'll take a couple. We got about maybe like 15 minutes. We'll take a couple questions from the crowd. Y'all got any questions for Chief Raw Hayes? Drop it in the links, man. Let's see right here.
Tell him about my Cash App, man.
Oh yeah, I got the Cash App right here. I'm finna drop it. Put it on the screen right now. I got the Cash App and
the PayPal. So I want you to tell him because people be trying to send me stuff on Cash App, and it ain't been letting it come through. It kind of lets some come through. So if it don't work, then use the PayPal.
Yeah, I got the PayPal and the Cash App up there.
Yeah. So you could try to Cash App first. If they send it back, then you have to send it. Then you got to send it on PayPal.
Hey, I'll start the questions. That says I want to confirm access to the website. What's the link? What website? Do you think a blackout will hit this year in America?
You know what? A blackout can mean a lot of different stuff. right? It's, a media blackout is when the event happened and the media doesn't cover it. Right? So you got different forms of blackout. So I know we have to have something that signifies the Great Reset, and before they could do the Great Reset, we have to watch the unfolding of the narrative play to a conclusion.
So, Chief, if you could elaborate on the Congress board structure, whom would you put on the board? If you could create your own structure, hold on, let's see what this says.
I wouldn't use it in the way that they use it. I use it the way that the matriarchs used to use it. Congress is short for Congress of Mayors, right? And it used to be a meeting of town mothers before the government took it over and use it as if they own. And the Congress of Mayors was a meeting of matriarchs, and most city capitals had a Congress, or most regional city capitals. We had like the land wasn't broke up into 50, 48 continental states. It wasn't broke up like that. It was divided up by lines of demarcation, by territorial boundaries. And this is how people become associated with a river, because the river they associated with is what they named after. Right? Like the Shoshone is named after the Shoshone River, branch of Old Mississippi. Right? But the Upshaw is Upper Shoshone. I mean that they was from the upper portion of the river. So you had the regular Shoshone, they was probably on the lower portion, as they would call it, but they was there first. So you had to identify the secondary tribe, which is probably like a brother that couldn't get along with the father, and his brothers ran him out. Go set your own tribe up. Big Mama point a piece of land. These are your lines of demarcation. So he wanted to be tied to the Shoshone too. So he said, well, they Shoshone, so we Upper Shoshone, becomes the name Upshaw in the English language, right? And a lot of that happened where you have hyphenated or you have compound last names, like Goldsmith, right? The Goldsmith is who used to smelt the gold for the tribes. We used to have our own currency. Right, and this is how they knew we was wealthy. It started back in Columbus's journal. You gotta remember, Mansa Musa also disseminated large quantities of gold across the land when he came.
That's right.
Or his brother did, Abu Bakari. Right, and Daco coins was circulating on the land. It still had the seal from where they came from in Ghana.
Right.
This is why they keep trying to tell us we from West Africa, because they believe that the Ghanaian blood from the West African tribes, because we have kingdoms and then we have empires, right? In one kingdom, you could have a king and you could have 50 princes that all got a territory, right? And so when they come over as indistinct haplogroups from a father line under patriarchy, but if they got a territorial right, most of them not leaving their motherland. They not coming over here, the women not. And this is why you see a lot of the travelers, it was hardly ever females on pirate ships.
Right.
Most ships because this is during reset period, we coming out of a cataclysmic event, a global destruction.
Yeah, that's all right.
And as we putting it back together, you have people that's actively interfering to slow our progress down so that in the meantime, they can get as much benefit from it as possible.
Right.
Well, if they leave us to our own devices, we go naturally farm the land. We're not working in no factory. So somebody got to have a factory that their family is big enough to work in. If you're gonna make factory goods, most of the bakers, they was the ones on the bakery.
Yeah, the bakers.
You know, yeah, the cooks. That's where all your chefs was coming from. The kings, the royal bloodline. They call them king for a reason. They last name king for a reason. Because over here we didn't have titles of nobility, and they prohibited by the Constitution.
Hey,
but they gave them the name. The name is not king, because it comes from the three-letter word KNG, which means father of the family. Right. Which is why they didn't. That's why they still allowed them to use it, even though it's prohibited in the Constitution. But if you try to change your name to a title of nobility, they won't let you.
And but you know, Rod, all the lawyers still carry Esquire. So really, all them the judges,
but their children can't.
Huh?
The lawyer can carry it, but the only way his children can carry it is they have to follow in their father's profession.
No, what I'm saying
or
is
mother's profession.
That should automatically disqualify them in the court when they go in with the Esquire, being that the Constitution says that you can't have no title, nobility. They automatically disqualify them.
Well, you got to remember, the courts is not from over here.
Go ahead.
They the one, the barristers is the ones running the court system for England, not for us.
That's right.
We have tribal courts over here. The chief don't have to be a certified attorney with the American Bar Association to go into a tribal court and argue your case. He just got to have the ability to understand the evidence and how to explain or question it to the level where you can prove your point. All of the other stuff, that's just extra stuff that they did to put roadblocks in our way. I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about. It amazes me how many people don't know that the capital for the longest time over here was New Orleans. That just blows my mind. That you couldn't even get on the land until the settlers came unless you came through New Orleans. You on mute, Elder.
The Moors moved it to Philadelphia. And then they moved it again to D.C.
And it moved to New York. The immigration moved to New York.
So it was in New York first, at New Amsterdam. Then they moved it to Philadelphia. Then they moved it to D.C.
Philadelphia was the political capital.
Okay.
But the immigration port moved from Port Enola because we was fighting war in the Gulf.
That's right, against the French. Yeah.
So we had to open up our immigrants on another part of the land. And we also fighting the Spanish Armada on the West Coast. You got to remember that too.
Yeah.
We got to remember that California was defending itself against the Spaniards. It wasn't California, it was a territory.
Go ahead.
It became California when they chartered it under the Spaniards. It became New Mexico when they annexed it from Mexico. It became Texas when they annexed it from Mexico. But other than that, they had different names. Right now, if Texas want to secede from the Union, they can break up into as many as 5 different states or nations based on geography. They the only state in the Union that kept that right.
Hey, QT Jones, QT Jones, funny man. It's about why the Moors not still around. Why haven't they been eliminated?
Because all of the Moors ain't bad.
Yeah, that's right.
I keep telling everybody, you got 2 factions of Moors. You got the righteous Moors and the dirty Moors. The term Moor is the catch term to put us under for us to fight the war of an intellectual conflict out.
Yeah.
Right? To educate ourselves above the condition. Now, the problem is when they elders become elders and go back to where they come from, that with they elders keeping us in line. Them the dirty Moors. by using the extension groups like the United States Corporation, like the JDL, the ADL, right? The country over there that they call Israel. All of those are distractions and things to use as shields to continuously keep us from realizing that we have to educate ourselves about a condition. There's no other way out. You have to be able to clearly see the deception, but they have to put everything in the public domain so you can figure it out. As long as it's in the public domain, then somebody got to put it together. Right? Somebody got to put it together and explain it and then show you where they found it in the public domain. Right? And the places that they can put it in fiction. It's the same way they tell us fictional characters are really actual people. Like Nat Turner. The book The Confessions of Nat Turner is the origin of the story of Nat Turner. It's a fictional novel. But we don't want to, it was such a character that was so strong in face of the opposition of the era. We don't care if he was real or not. I'm a descendant of Nat Turner. It's the same way they talk. I'm the chosen people of God. If you got chosen I'm telling you now, if you got chosen to be better than somebody by God, your God is the devil.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Because only the devil want to make somebody feel like they're better than somebody else in order to get them to work for him. Right? You got it. The real God don't tell you that you better or less than anybody else. Right? The real God tell you that you your own individual self, be the best you can be, and don't worry about being better than nobody else. As long as you're the best version of you, it won't even be necessary because you're gonna shine on the world. Being yourself. As soon as you try to be who society tell you to be, you trapped in your ego.
Yeah, like I said, man, if you still like it, like some people gonna still be Christians, I ain't gonna even you could tell them about the doctrine of discovery. You could tell them, hey, man, they put a gun in your head and made you to Christians. Like it's a hard pill to swallow at this point in time, but you should be past it already. We should be past that point of that. Okay, we got colonized by Christians.
You got to remember, people at different levels of understanding. Everybody not on the same level.
Yeah.
We be walking around thinking we all on the same level. We not. Right? That don't make you better than nobody because you're on a different level. It just make the level that you on responsible for something different.
Right. Some
of them people still haven't gotten over the understanding that they've been tricked.
Right.
Right. As long as the hypnotized person don't know you hypnotized, you can't break the hypnosis. Right.
Yeah.
So you need a sudden shock in order to jolt their consciousness. Right. But some of us you can give us the clues and we can begin to put together the picture. And once we see it, we can't unsee it. So when we act like we didn't see it, it's still cooking in the background. Eventually, the naysayer gonna become the supporter when they recognize that, wait a minute, that sounds too accurate for it not to be valid. Right? Because it ties to all of the receipts.
Hey, it's right here really a two-part question. What can they do to get active? Because somebody asked what was the female's job. Like you just explained it a little bit. And then could you go in what the males could do, the females and the males? This will be the last question. What can the females then and the males do to be active and be on a job right now as we go into all the stuff that we've been talking about, like far as the world?
So everybody got something that they do, right? All you got to do First thing first, take care of your immediate family. Before you start trying to figure out where else to go look to do some work, make sure you can do the work at home first. Right? And once you can do the work at home, then you want to help the community, then you assess how much time you need to put into the community, right? Because you could put in as little as an hour a day or as little as 2 hours a month, but you still have to figure out what you can do. How can you contribute? What are you capable of doing? Right? You can't tell any individual without knowing them what they should be doing at this time because you don't know what their skill set is. Right? So if you're going to activate, the fastest way to activation is the more people you get to that'll catch their ear to listen to the information. If we don't understand what's happening, then we're going to be behind. We're going to be part of the ones that see catastrophe when redemption is at hand. Because they're not going to be able to recognize the difference. There's a difference between a cataclysmic event and a purging event. One of them done is senseless violence, right? Like my little nephew just got took out today, which it was hard for me to do this knowing that, but it had to be done. But the senselessness of it on the one hand, or the gravity of the reality that somebody's going to have to be dealt with in order for nature to balance the situation. In other words, the repeat offender won't stop repeating until you stop him from repeating. Because once the pattern is established and the habit is formed, it's almost impossible for him to break if you find pleasure in it. So some of them, we got to stop them. And other ones, you leave them to their own devices, they'll stop themselves. But you got to know how to know the difference in the two. The one who has pseudo power, who think they're powerful, are the ones we're going to have to actually remove. And I can't wait.
And hey, you remember that? Hey, Rob, you remember that movie 300? Where that dude, where the Persian kings or the Persian soldiers came bringing the heads of other kings. Yeah, right. And then when he about to kick him in that hole, right? He looked back at his queen first. She did like this. And nigga said, once she gave him that handshake, it was over, man. She kicked him off up in there now, man. Once that queen said do it, oh man, nigga, I'm finna do you now. Oh yeah, you bring that to my doorstep. You should have thought choose your words kindly. This is Sparta. Boom, kicked him off.
That was one of my favorite parts.
Man, that's my favorite part, bro.
He said, only a madman would dare kill a messenger. He said, he come to my door with the head of kings. He said, you come, hey, Leonidas tell him, you come to my house with the heads of kings and threaten my people with slavery,
right,
and disrespect my queen.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When he looked back at her, she said, he was like, no, I'm not a madman. This is Sparta!
Once that queen gave him that nod, that was it.
You see how he ain't got to do but kick that one, and his soldiers automatically knew what to do with the rest.
Get everybody else. Follow suit. It's always follow suit with them. Whatever he do, we do. You know what I'm saying?
Look, and they're going to tell you, look, I was looking up the Spartan suit because, the Spartan helmet is supposed to be mimicry of a Mohawk.
Right. That's right.
And we was the only ones wearing Mohawks. African tribes didn't wear Mohawks, but we did.
Yeah. Yeah, the Mohawk tribe.
Yeah.
She Black Hawk. They like now, and also that type of headgear The Igigis, one group of the Igigis had that type of headgear. If you see the Etruscans, that's what they show them. They show a statue of these two Etruscans grabbing the girl like
they Marvin the Martian.
Yeah, like Marvin the Martian, and they were ant beams.
I'm going to slap you with my space modulator.
They called the Tarzizians, and they are a black ant species that came here, and they came down and taught the humans how to dig underground and dig these tunnels. And the Hopi talk about these people. The Hopi got a lot of legends about these people coming down with these helmets, and those ant type of creatures, and they taught them how to go underground, survive, and dig underground, and this and that. They go into it. So yeah, man, we got to get up out of here, man. Everybody try to go to sleep, man. They want okay. I'm gonna get So yeah, Rod, we're gonna come back with another one, man. This was hot right here. This is another one, Friday the 13th. Free all the political prisoners. Big Mama's back on the land, right? Larry Hoop about to be free. Malachi about to be free. Everybody about to get out, man. This is the year. These next 2 years is the years where everything get put back like it was before they came. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel like the next 2 or 3 years, like within this span between now and 2030, everything go back to how it was. Well, we was happy-go-lucky, like Christopher Columbus said. They walking around like la 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 la. He said it was like that's how he was over here, man. We was having a blast over here before these people came.
And they exploited our genetic memory, used it against us to give us false doctrines.
Man.
They sacrificed the blood of the righteous so that we'll follow their edicts called laws. Right? They did all this stuff, treated us bad, miseducated our children.
Right.
They poisoned the land, the air, and the water.
Yeah.
Now that should be against the goddamn law.
Yeah, he said that. He said their water was so crystal clear you can see to the bottom. Then after they come, it's so black you can't even see to the top. See at the top of it.
I was watching this Western, and this Italian dude dressed up like an Indian. He was telling the white man. He said, before the white man come, you could drink out water from any place.
Yeah.
He said, now our waters are sick.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I seen that one. Yeah. They said you used to be able to take a cup and scoop out the top of the river and drink it. It was like drinking fresh spring water. But now the water black, the river's black, everything brown, dark black. And Christopher Columbus said he got crystal clear waters over there. Crystal clear waters, what he said. But we got to take this. We got to come and slaughter these people. These people, we got to take advantage. Who are these people, man?
Now, remember, he specifically, geography over here, pinpoint to the finest point. He's talking Jamaica. Haiti. He's talking island Haiti. Because they named it Hispaniola.
Yeah.
When he left.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna take the people's name off their land and just put your name on it.
He just went around naming stuff. Oh, this ours. Oh, that's ours. It's El Salvador. Oh, that's, we're going to take it all back.
Then they naming them after people.
Yep, that's right. Man, I'm telling you, bro.
Haiti not named after no people. Europeans. It's named after the people from the land. Haiti. That's a family heritage birthright land. That's why it's called Haiti.
Yeah.
They chose that name. The European didn't choose it for them. The colonizer didn't choose it for them. They the only one. The legend has Dirty Bookman the only one looked the devil in his face when he challenged him and said, "Bring it on."
Yeah.
You see what you got.
That's
devil mean adversary.
Yeah.
Now remember that. Despookify the message and just put it in its simplest term in common English. Devil just mean your enemy.
That's right. Whoever's against you.
Right? Whoever's against you is your devil.
Yeah.
Right? And we've seen the black devil now.
Yeah.
Right? They left it all in the public domain, but they never would have thought we was gonna put it together. They told me it was like unscrambling the egg. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
But got to be a way it could be done. If it's almost impossible, that means there's something that can be done to make that possible.
Yeah.
It's called alchemy. You can alchemize something back to its original, but you can't do it in 3D.
Right.
You have to do it in the 4D, 5D.
Right.
And when you come back to 3D, you got a whole fresh egg all over again. They call it turning back time.
Right.
But you don't literally have to turn back time. You go back through time in the memory. You're a time traveler whether you want to know it or not.
Right.
Because your bloodline in the past is talking to your bloodline in the future, and you just the answer in the middle.
Right.
That's thinking. Your bloodline from the past is talking to your bloodline of the future. And you just the messenger in the middle between the two.
That's deep.
And that's why people become oh man, you prophesy. No, it's not prophecy. It's listening. Then pointing out what you see.
Right.
It just if it happened, that's convergence. That's not prophecy. Right? That mirror that John D had gave birth to a program of the US military called Operation Looking Glass. It's now declassified. You can ask AI what was Operation Looking Glass. And it was the ability for them to use systems of probability to determine future outcomes in the course of events.
Yeah, and they got it at the Scottish Rites Lodge in Washington, D.C. The Scottish Rites Grand Lodge at D.C.
Right. Well, I wonder why it would be in the Scottish Rite Lodge.
Yeah, Grand Lodge. And look, Rob, when they invite you there to bring you up to that degrees, they say you got to make a reasonable donation. And guess what the reasonable donation is? $50,000. Yeah,
who is it reasonable to?
That's what I'm saying. $50,000 a reasonable donation. It's not
reasonable. But you got to pay attention because knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. If you're paying for knowledge, you're paying for power.
Go ahead.
Right. The only way to activate it is you need something called wisdom, where you can't activate the knowledge to maximize its output.
Right.
The more you know, the further you go. You heard that one, didn't
you? Yeah. The more you go, the further you go.
Yeah. What was the United Negro College Fund? A black mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Yeah, Marcus Garvey.
Right. So it's telling you all of the secrets in the open. Because that means that the key to your redemption is in your self-education, not the education by the system. Why? Because history is written by the victors. If you ain't coming from the victor standpoint, then you won't never understand history. But if you come from the one who was victimized standpoint and still feel like the victim, you're going to remain victimized. Because you're not going to fight for what's right because you've already been relegated to the learned helplessness of a victim. You got to think like a conqueror if you want to conquer. You can't think like a neighbor if you want to be a conqueror. Right? But everybody ain't got to know what you're thinking.
Right.
So the greatest conquerors can conquer from the mind and then let the effect manifest on earth. They call him an armchair revolutionary because they don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Right. So he's sitting back in the chair and he's talking to people in the public domain as Degrees told the story around the fires that night. Right. And the people sit down at the open fire pit and they listen to the grid and he's singing and dancing and telling the story. And then when he get done, he taught them a whole bunch of stuff that they didn't even know they was learning. Right, because he's bypassing the faculty of ignorance. In order for ignorance to be effective, you have to have a system to reinforce the person